Shabbat Shalom, everyone.
Shabbat Shalom.
Today's lesson is going to be a little bit about what's coming. The title of it is going to be How to Prepare for What's Coming. Now, what's coming? Well, there's been a lot of speculation about economic disasters, natural disasters, but we're going to kind of look into some of these disasters that people are saying are coming our way, and we're going to look into it with the scriptures, and we're going to try to figure out what is it that you can do to prepare for what's coming our way. Okay? Now, the first thing I want to do is point out Revelations. I want everyone to go to Revelations chapter 18. Okay? Because this is one of the biggest things that most people are causing them to flee America and causing them to just want to get out of here. I can understand it too, you know. When you look at the things that America is doing and has done, you know judgment is coming on this place. So it makes you kind of a little afraid to be here when you know it's coming. So, Elijah, I'm going to let you start to read verses. Well, you can read 1 through 10. I'll let you read the entire passage, 1 through 10.
And after these things I saw another angel coming down from heaven, having great power, and the earth was lightened with his glory. And he cried mightily with a strong voice, saying, Babylon the great is fallen. It has become a habitation of devils, and the hold of every foul spirit, and the cage of every unclean and hateful bird. For all nations have drunk of the wine of the wrath of her fornication. And the kings of the earth have committed fornication with her. And the merchants of the earth are waxed rich through the abundance of her delicacies. And I heard another voice from heaven saying, Come out of her, my people, that ye be not partakers of her sins, that ye receive not of her plagues. For her sins have reached unto heaven, and Yah hath remembered her iniquities. Reward her even as she awarded you, and double unto her according to her works. And the cup which she hath filled to her double. How much has she glorified herself and lived deliciously? So much torment and sorrow give her. She saith in her heart, I sit a queen and am no widow.
And am
no widow, and see no sorrow. Therefore shall her plagues come in one day, death and mourning and famine, and she shall be utterly burnt with fire. For strong is Yah who have judged her. The kings of the earth who have committed fornication and lived deliciously with her shall wail her and lament for her, when they shall see the smoke of her burning, standing afar off for the fear of her torment, saying, Alas, alas, that great city Babylon, that mighty city, for in 1 hour is thy judgment coming.
Okay. Now, this is really the reason why a lot of people are trying to flee Babylon, because of the scripture that says, Come out of her, my people, that you receive not her plagues, that you be not partakers of her sins. Okay. Well, let me ask you this question. I want you to think about what I say here. Okay. So, I'm a partaker of her sin if I live here. Huh? No, don't make me a partaker of her sin if I live here. Now, so he said, Come out of her, my people, and be not partakers of her sin. So now we need to understand what is Babylon. Most people out there are preaching that Babylon is United States. Okay, America. Well, I believe that America could possibly be a part of Babylon, but I don't believe that America is Babylon per se, you know, as it being just Babylon. Okay, I'm gonna tell you what I think Babylon is, and I'm gonna do another study on the Babylon thing, but I'm gonna just cover it briefly, and then at a later date I'll do a study on Babylon. Okay, but let's look at the facts concerning Babylon. Okay. because this is going to help you to get an understanding of what it's talking about here. Okay, now, first of all, let's look at chapter 17, where it first mentions about Babylon. Okay, chapter 17 of Revelations, if you go to chapter 17, it starts off and it says, and there came one of the 7 angels which had the 7 vials that talked with me, saying, Come hither, I will show unto thee the judgment of the great whore that sitteth upon many waters, whom the kings of the earth have committed fornication, and the inhabitants of the earth have been made drunk with the wine of her fornication. So he carried me in the spirit into the wilderness, and I saw a woman sit upon a scarlet-colored beast, full of names of blasphemy, having 7 heads and 10 horns. And the woman was arrayed in purple and scarlet color, and decked with gold and precious stones and pearls, having a golden cup in her hand, full of abominations and filthiness of her fornication. And upon her name was written, Mystery Babylon the Great, Mother of harlots and abominations of the earth. And I saw the woman drunk with the blood of the saints, and with the blood of the martyrs of Yeshua. And when I saw her, I wondered with great admiration. Okay. So John, when he saw her, he admired her beauty. Okay, which is strange. Okay. Now, we want to know, who is this woman Babylon that's riding this beast? And we're going to do just a quick checklist to help separate Babylon from what everyone is saying. So we're going to just kind of confirm whether or not it's America, or whether or not it's the European nations, or whether or not it's some old Babylon or Roman Empire or whatever. We're going to use a checklist here. Now, if you would look at this scripture here, it tells you who the woman is. Okay? Let's look at chapter 17, verse 18. Elijah, I'm going to let you read verse 18.
The woman which thou sawest is that great city which reigneth over the kings of the earth.
Okay. Now, it said the woman which thou sawest is what? Huh? What is it? Which thou sawest is that great city. Okay. See, that narrows it down. It said that great city. Okay. So let's keep that in mind. A great city is what it's referring to. Okay. Now we want to know, what city is it referring to? What great city? Okay. Now, let's look at verse 15 and see what it says.
And he saith unto me, The waters which thou sawest, where the whore sitteth, are peoples and multitudes and nations and tongues. Okay, so now what's happening here is they're explaining to you what all of these things mean. So it's telling you now, the waters where she sit is what? All the people of the earth, the peoples and multitudes and nations and tongues, where the woman sitteth. Okay? Now, we're going to go a little further. Let's look at verse 6 here. It tells you a little bit more about this woman. And I saw the woman drunken with the blood of the saints, and with the blood of the martyrs. And when I saw her, I wondered with great admiration. Okay, now you hear that? Now, how could that be the United States? Okay, the United States is not drunk with the blood of the martyrs or the witnesses of Yeshua. Okay, but what city is in history? Rome. Okay, Rome is drunk with the blood of the martyrs. Okay, if anyone know Roman history, there was a period of time before Constantine where the believers of Yahshua were thrown into the arena to be killed, thrown to lions. They were getting their heads chopped off, and this lasted for a good 200 years before the time of Constantine. If you do research in Roman history, you will see where there were a lot of martyrs that were getting killed for the testimony of Yahshua. Okay, so which city is it talking about? It's talking about Rome. It's a city. It's talking about a city. Now let's go a little bit further. Let's look at verse 9.
And here is the mind which hath wisdom. The 7 heads are 7 mountains on which the woman sitteth.
7 mountains. Are you aware that Rome, the city of Rome, is surrounded by 7 mountains? It's a fact. There's 7 hills of Rome. They're all surrounded. So think about that. And then also modern Rome. Modern Rome is today. Modern Rome has really taken over the entire planet. Well, geologists have said that if you were to actually erase all of the water that's on the planet, you will see 7 continents, right? How many continents is there? 7 continents, and those continents would raise up out of the water like what? Mountains. Now, I want you to think about what I'm saying here. Okay, now, let's go a little bit further. Now, look at verse 3. Now, I want you to read verse 3. No, this is chapter 18, verse 3.
For all nations have drunk of the wine of the wrath of her fornication, and the kings of the earth have committed fornication with her, and the merchants of the earth are waxed rich through the abundance of her delicacies.
Okay, now you would ask yourself, well, how in the world is that going on with Rome, with the Roman Empire, or with Rome, the city? Okay, well, I'll show you how. I'm going to cover that just in a moment. But I want you to see one more statement that was made. Now, he makes this statement in verse 4. He says, I heard another voice from heaven saying, come out of her, my people, and be not partakers of her sins, that ye receive not her plagues. Now, come out of her, my people. So, he has people that's stuck in this particular Rome that is referring to. Okay? So, based on these 6 facts, we can conclude that it has something to do with the Roman Empire. It has something to do with Rome, the city. And this woman has something to do with the martyrs of Yahshua. What sprung out of Rome through Constantine? Christianity. What else sprung out of Rome? Christianity and what?
Slavery.
Nope. The Roman Catholic Church. That's right. The Roman Catholic Church sprung out of Rome. Now, if you do your research in the scriptures, whenever the scriptures use the phrase of a woman or a harlot, he's usually describing an assembly, what some would refer to as a church. Because she keep not the commandments of Yah, he refers to as a harlot because she is whoring after other gods. Okay? This is what Babylon does. She's the mother of harlots and abominations of the earth. What harlots is it referring to? The Christian churches are the harlots that it's referring to. Babylon is none other than Rome and the Roman and the religion that sprung out of Rome, which is the Catholic Church. Okay? Now, this is why the Most High says, come out of her, my people, and be not partakers of her sins, and receive not her plagues. Because the time is going to come that the Most High is going to require us to walk in truth and walk in righteousness and keep his commandments. Look at these churches. They all break the commandments of Yah. They all go whoring after other gods, worshiping the sun god, not keeping the Sabbath. Look at what they do. You see, this is Babylon that the scripture is referring to. Now, I'm going to do another study on this, a little more in-depth study as to how this could be the Roman Catholic Church and Rome itself and modern Rome, which have actually spread throughout the entire earth. How did it do it? Through the Roman Catholic Church. The Roman Catholic Church and their crusades going out and their inquisitions going out to other lands. And what are they doing? Spreading their lies, their Bible in one hand and a gun in the other hand. That's right. Spreading their doctrine throughout the whole earth. The doctrine of what? The lie that the Sabbath is done away with. And you don't have to worship on the Sabbath anymore. The lie about Yahshua. They even gave you a new name. What's the new name? JC. They done gave you a new image of JC. You see, gave you a new image of his people even. All of this was pushed through the Roman Catholic Church over the entire earth. Okay, so now, this fall that's going to come of Babylon is going to be a huge fall. And it will probably involve all the nations that have been drunken with the wine of her fornication, that have fornicated with her, the nations, which are basically the European nations. But we're going to get a little deeper into this study, but I just want you to know what's coming. There's several things that's coming that's making people a little nervous about being in places, and they seeking the Most High, trying to find out, where should we move? Should we go south? Should we come out of the United States? Should we go to another country? Should we go one of the islands? What exactly should we do? Well, when I'm done with this, I hope to shine a lot of light on what you should do, and more than anything, I hope to shine some light on seeking the Most High, on what steps to take to be ready for what's about to come. Okay? Because the fall of Babylon, in my opinion, is only one of the things that's headed our way. Okay? There's some things headed our way that's just as bad as the fall of Babylon. Okay? So that's what we're going to talk about here. Now, we're going to talk about the economic collapse that's headed our way. And you say, what economic collapse is that? Anybody have an idea? The fall of the dollar. That's right. Now, the fall of the dollar. It's been a lot of talk about it, especially over the last, I would say, last 5 years, since the deficit have gone up, and since what is it, where is it at now? Anybody know? If I'm correct, I think it's at about I had this on a site, but let's see where it's at. $16 trillion. You hear that? Oh my goodness. 16 trillion? And it's continuing to rise. So now, that could cause the dollar to fold. Okay, so one of the things we want to talk about here is what could possibly happen if the dollar collapses. There's this site that's called Smart Planet, and there's this bulletin that's called Economic Armageddon. A list of what happens if the U.S. defaults, or if the dollar crashes, basically. One of the things it has here is the United States government won't make its payments. Yeah, it's like, how can they make any payments if the dollar collapses? The dollar isn't worth anything anymore. How can they make any payments? Okay, meaning there are countries that the United States owe money to. For instance, China is one of those countries. Most large financial institutions, that includes banks, insurance companies, and pension funds, would be forced to replace investments with AAA securities, basically treasuries, and replace that collateral with equivalents. These institutions would have to liquidate trillions of holdings because of the lack of compliance, creating massive worldwide instability. That simply means that people who got money in the bank, you're probably going to lose a lot of that money. You know, your money in the bank is only insured up to $100,000. Anything over that isn't insured. Pardon me? It's been reduced? Well, isn't that something? So if that's been reduced, my goodness, now you got to want to know, man, what's going to happen If you go to the bank to get your money, people are going to do a bank run. As soon as stuff going to happen, everybody are going to be yanking their money out of the banks. Overnight, the banks are going to literally empty out because people are going to want to get their money. Now, you ready for this one? United States towns and cities will be forced into bankruptcy. That means people who got jobs working for the city are going to all lose their jobs. Guess what? Guess who that includes? The fire department and the police department. So now you got no more protection. Protection from what? The riots, because people are going to go crazy. Think about all of what we're talking about here. People are going to go out of their mind. You hear me? When the dollar collapses, they're going to go literally out of their mind. Falling consumer confidence would slow down the United States economy. So then people are going to, it's probably going to go crazy. People, any money that people have, of course, they're going to clear the store shelves. You know they're going to clear the store shelves with of food and anything that can sustain life. So sustain life, anything that can sustain life. So imagine this for a minute, right? You go to the grocery stores and all the shelves are empty as far as food concerned. Batteries gone. It's going to be literally chaos, So now you got to ask yourself, when the dollar crashed, do you want to find yourself in that predicament if the dollar crashed? Not having enough food to sustain yourself for a good period of time. My goodness, there's a whole list of things here that they think that's going to actually happen. So people are going to lose homes, or mortgage companies are going to close, and it's just going to be crazy. A choking rise in interest rates and dwindling United States government services. So a lot of your government services that like aid, people are getting financial aid, that's going to be gone. Ain't going to be no more food stamp cards. All that stuff is going to be gone. Ain't going to be no more of that. Ain't going to be no government assistance. You understand? So picture the government now. People are dying of thirst and things like that, right? Need water. You think a helicopter going to come along and going to drop a big parachute full of bottles of water, or trucks going to be delivering water? No. Because guess what? Gas costs money, right? But if the money ain't worth nothing, how you going to purchase gas with money that ain't worth anything? You got to ask yourself, it's going to get crazy. You got to know how crazy it's going to get. Listen to some of these things that they're saying here. So we got to prepare some kind of way. We got to prepare. Higher taxes in the United States. Loss of entrepreneurship and U.S. brain drain. So in other words, think about that. We're entrepreneurs, right? That's what we do. We have our own business. We deal with the internet. Well, it might not be any more internet if the dollar crashes. Think about it. No more internet. Whew. Long-term unemployment. Long-term, not short-term. We talking about long-term unemployment, because people aren't going to be able to work jobs. And then when they work a job, what they going to get paid? Money? Who going to want $1 if it's not worth anything? These are just some of the horrific things that's going to happen. Now, of course, people are going to be breaking in places, trying to rob folk. People are going to be walking the streets with guns. People are going to get shot. There's going to be a lot of murder going on. So I'm not trying to really scare you. I'm just trying to bring you into reality and how close we are to the dollar crash. There's some estimates that we're very close. It could crash this year, next year. It may go another 3-4 years. But everyone is saying that it's a fact that the dollar will crash. Okay? So that's just one of the sites I pulled up dealing with that. But I want to show you what it said here. Listen to this. This is another site that's called the top 5 places not to be when the dollar collapses, and tell you the reasons why you shouldn't be in these places. Okay? Now, the first place it named is Israel. Why Israel? Isn't that something? Israel is the first place they named that you shouldn't be when the dollar collapsed. Well, this is their reason for it. And if you get a chance, you can go to this site. I'm going to post a link here on the video. It says, this Anglo-American beachhead into the Middle East was first conceived by the most powerful family in the world, the Rothschilds, in 1917. And the Balfour Declaration said that there will be a Zionist Israel years before World War II and eventually establishment of Israel. Israel has not been a good neighbor to its Muslim nations and has always had the two biggest bullies on the block at its back. When the dollar collapses, the United States will have much too much on its own plate before domestically and internationally to worry about such a non-strategic piece of land. So basically, just to put that in better words, United States is going to be busy with its own problems than to be trying to help Israel back them with what they're dealing with in the Middle East. So in other words, the Arab nations and some of the other nations will possibly attack Israel as a result of the dollar crashing. Now, it could be some truth to that. It's just, yeah, like a game of chess, exactly. But basically, I'm just telling you, it is something to think about. Southern California. And you say, wow, why Southern California? It's pretty interesting what they say here. The land of fruits and nuts turns into battlefield Los Angeles. 2 million people packed into an area that has no water. Thus, food is not good, to say the least. Not much water there in Southern California. Right now, they got a drought, too, that's going on there in California. So, my goodness. Of course, that's going to be the last place you want to be, is those areas where it's going to be a hard drought, especially in areas like Arizona and all of those areas where they actually funneling water to those areas from other areas. Wow. England, the land of Big Brother and former empire, worldwide slave trade and drug trade will suffer heavily. And I mean, you gotta, they say in England is one place. Another place they name here is New York City, okay, which is another large urban area living too high on the dollar, living high on the hog, as they put it, okay. And that's why areas like New Jersey, New York, Connecticut, all of those areas strive heavily on the Wall Street wealth. Well, when the dollar crashes, ain't gonna be no more of that wealth. You see, so that's why those areas will be, you want to be, in my opinion, you really don't want to be in any major city where there's not a lot of farming or anything like that. You want to really be away from those areas, because you got to know when the grocery stores, when the shelves clear in those areas, where they gonna get food from. Trucks ain't gonna deliver food cause gas costs money, right? So then it's gonna be a whole different thing going on in some of the major city areas. People better start growing vegetation. Get yourself a garden. If you living in a major city area, start growing yourself some food. Okay. Washington D.C. is another area it named. It says the political collapse of the federal government will wreak havoc on the hugely inflated local economy. So that's why Washington D.C. is going to literally just collapse, because the government officials there get paid, right? The federal government get paid. And so they telling you those are the 5 cities that you should keep away from. Another site that I found is this one here. Now, I find this one to be interesting, and in my opinion, it really lines up with the word. And I'll show you what I mean here. Okay, this site is dailypaul.com. There's an article there that says 5 reasons why gold will unfortunately be worthless after the collapse of the dollar. Now that's scary. What's funny is, I remember 2 years ago, me and my wife was listening to some preachers on YouTube, and they were saying, gala gold, gala gold. And me and her, just in our spirit, could feel different. No kidding you. You remember that, baby? Yeah, I know you do. We were sitting back and we were saying that, and we were saying, well, whoa, wait a minute. It just wasn't sitting well. Okay, and I'll tell you why. They named some of the reasons right here, and it just, when we heard it, we said, wow. Now, I'm not going to tell you not to buy gold, okay? If you feel in your spirit to buy gold, then you by all means buy yourself some gold. Go ahead.
That's the reason why is because you can't really eat or digest gold.
You can't eat or digest gold. That's funny. Well, but gold can buy food, right?
Nah, there's not a lot of food.
Here it gets interesting. I'm going to show you what they say in this particular article here. But it says, I predict gold and silver will have no value after the dollar collapse for 5 main reasons. Probably no one has ever heard of. Yes, we all know precious metal prices will skyrocket from now until the dollar collapse. But afterwards, it will be as worthless as a paperweight. That's kind of scary. Why? He's going to tell you the reasons. Reason number 1. With no currency, with what are you going to sell your gold? The amount you paid for your gold before the collapse will, by a long shot, not equal the goods and services valued. You will have no trade for it after the collapse, and no one will want it because it won't really serve any purpose during this time. Meaning, for example, most people will be forced to trade thousands of dollars worth of gold for $5 worth of food. How about that? It says, well, people might argue you can use gold for electronics and other things. I say, who's going to work at an electrical plant without a paycheck? So in other words, we'll probably lose power too. So that has something to think about. Now, I'm not saying this is how it's going to exactly be, but I'm telling you this is something to think about. Okay? Now, do we have a scripture to back this up? I have a scripture, and I'm going to share this scripture with you here. Okay? You're going to read Zephaniah chapter 1, verse 14 through 18. Now, this scripture here is the reason why I've always felt, when I've heard people talk about that gold thing, I've always felt a little different about it. I'll tell you why. Because, like I said, there are more things headed our way other than the collapse of the dollar and other than the fall of Babylon. We're going to cover some of that, okay? Elijah, read Zephaniah chapter 1, verse 14 through 18.
The great day of Yah is near. It is near. It hasteth greatly. Even the voice of the day of Yah, the mighty man shall cry there bitterly. That day is a day of wrath, a day of trouble, a day of distress, a day of wasteness and desolation, a day of darkness and gloominess, a day of clouds and thick darkness, a day of the trumpet and alarm against the fenced cities and against the high towers. And I will bring distress upon men, and they shall walk like blind men, because they have sinned against Yah. And their blood shall be poured out as dust, and their flesh shall be as dung.
Verse 18.
Neither their silver nor their gold shall be able to deliver them the day of Yah's wrath. Wow. But the whole land shall be devoured by the fire of his jealousy. For he shall make even a speedy riddance of all that dwell on the land.
Now, did you hear that? Yeah, how about that? So he pretty much told you. We talking about, see, that's why I said there's more things headed our way than just the collapse of the dollar or the fall of Babylon. Yah's wrath is headed our way too. When I say our way, I'm talking about the way of this earth, this world that we live on. Okay? His wrath is headed there too. And it tells you about the day of his wrath. It starts in verse 14. It says the great day of Yah is near. So it's talking about his wrath coming. It's going to be what? It says verse 15. That day is a day of wrath, a day of trouble and distress, a day of wastedness and desolation, a day of darkness and gloominess, a day of clouds and thick darkness. So he's telling you how horrible it's going to be in this day, right? Now, then he goes down at the end and he says, neither their silver nor their gold shall be able to deliver them in the day of Yah's wrath, but the whole land shall be devoured by the fire of his jealousy. My goodness.
So that means he's going to set the world on fire or something?
Well, it's going to be a lot of different things where different areas are going to probably no doubt catch fire, because it mentions things like that. You know, yeah, areas are probably going to just burn up. Scripture talks about, and we're going to cover some of these things that it talks about that's going to happen to the earth. You know, I mean, it talks about the sun scorching and talks about raining hail of fire and a lot of those different things. So, but that was the reason why I've always felt a little different about the gold and stuff. Now, does that mean, am I telling you to don't buy gold? No, because maybe in the beginning of things, your gold may be able to get you some things. When it jumps up high in price, and maybe you can buy a one-way ticket out of hell or something. I don't know, but but basically, maybe you could buy some things, buy yourself enough crops and land and things like that. I don't know, but I'm just simply saying that I'm here to tell you that you better think about all of these things that we're talking about in this video, because there's a lot more to think about. You know, the Most High, if it was that easy, if gold was going to deliver us that easy, then the rich, they got it made then, right? The wicked got it made. Who got all the gold?
They think they got it made.
Huh? Who? The wicked. Right? They the ones got all the gold. So basically, then Yah's people don't have a chance then. Because last time I checked, I didn't see gold falling all out of my wallets and bank accounts. And last time I checked with some of the Hebrews I know, I ain't seen gold falling out of their accounts or anywhere either. So, yeah, so I can understand, you know, the Most High, he has a way that he's going to do things. And I think we need to open our ears up and listen. Okay? Now, let's look at what else he mentioned. They mentioned in this reason why gold will have no value. Okay, they say here, people will argue gold will have to return to currency. He says, I argue, who's going to mint all those gold pieces for free? Remember, when the currency collapses, nobody's getting paid anymore. So why would the U.S. mint workers waste their time working for free? Something to think about, huh? Everybody's going to be busy guarding their food supply. Food will be the new currency. Ain't that what we said? The new currency going to be food, livestock, seeds, huh? Produce. That stuff is going to be the new currency. Water, exactly. All those things are going to be the new currency. So, medicine, exactly. And we're going to cover some of those things too. Then it says, number three reason, it says the government won't create a new currency. Everybody thinks the Illuminati will introduce the emerald at this time. Those people who are the Illuminati network won't do anything without getting paid. They're going to be hiding in their apocalypse bunkers. Think about it. So, I mean, create a new currency. We hope that when the dollar crashes, they'll try to come up with this one world currency so everybody can have this one world currency. But that might not happen. I mean, think about it. There's going to be chaos everywhere. Government workers ain't going to be trying to do anything because people going to be trying to kill them. People going to go crazy. That's just how it's going to be. Number 4 reason. The dollar is currently the world's reserve currency. The reason in history for thousands of years that gold always returned its value after a paper money collapse is because it happened in a time when the world reserve currency didn't exist. What this means is that formerly, when one country's currency died, another would just take over. However, in this case, the currency currently dying is the currency that all other countries' currencies are backed upon. So, when the United States dollar collapsed, a lot of countries' currency and a lot of countries' economy are going to collapse with it. Basically, is what they're saying here in this article. Now, reason number 5. Listen to this reason here. Okay, this is the last one. Manufacturing and mass production stops, with nobody working because their paycheck is now just worthless paper. Gold will cease to have a material or useful purpose. I mean, seriously, what are we going to... Let's talk about Yah's tribulation. What's going to happen when Yah's wrath is poured out? And this will help you see that it's not just a collapse of the dollar. All of these things will probably be going on almost simultaneously, because Yah's wrath is going to come. It's going to be poured out. Okay. Now, if you go to Revelations chapter 6, I'm going to just cover some of these real quickly here. In Revelations chapter 6, it talks about the seals that would be open and what's involved in these seals. Okay. One of the seals that it talks about, wars or rumors of wars, a lot of those things we've been seeing. Okay, famine, all those things we've seen. And then the 5th seal, but the 6th seal we haven't seen, which is what? An earthquake that's going to come, that's going to shake the entire planet. Okay, that's what it talks about in the 6th chapter of Revelations. It calls it, if I'm correct, the 6th seal. Okay, this is what it says. It says, and I beheld, and when I had opened the 6th seal, and lo, there was a great earthquake, and the sun became black as sackcloth of hair, and the moon became as blood, and the stars of heaven fell onto the earth, as a fig tree casteth her untimely figs when she is shaken by a mighty wind. And heaven depart as a scroll when it is rolled together, and every mountain and island were moved out of their places. And the kings of the earth, and the great men, and the rich men, and the chief captains, and the mighty men, and every bondman, and every free man, hid themselves in the dens and in the rocks of the mountains. So people are going to be running into their bunkers and hiding in their dens and hiding in their cellars and places. That's one of the things that's going to come. So basically, it's sheer destruction on the entire planet. Okay, let's look at one more thing here. Revelations chapter 8. Now, Revelations chapter 8 covers even more things that's pretty scary that's going to happen on this planet that we live on. One of the things is, if you look at verse 5, it says, the angel took a censer and filled it with fire of the altar and cast it onto the earth. And there were voices, thunderings, lightnings, and an earthquake. And the 7 angels which had the 7 trumpets prepared themselves to sound. And the first angel sound, this is verse 7, and there followed hell mingled with blood, with hell and fire mingled with blood. And they were cast upon the earth, and the third part of the trees was burned up, and all the green grass was burned up. My goodness. So there goes a lot of crops, huh? It's pretty scary. Second angel sounded, and there was a great mountain burning with fire was cast into the sea. And a third part of the sea became blood, and third part of the creatures that were in the sea that had life died, and the third part of the ships were destroyed. So now you see what's going on. Now life in the sea is dying. Food comes from the sea, right? Then it says, and the name of the star was called wormwood, and a third part of the waters became bitter, became wormwood, and men died of the waters because they were made bitter. So the water is going to become bitter in the sea. Okay. The fourth angel sounded, and the third part of the sun was smitten, and the third part of the moon, and the third part of the sun, of the stars, and the third part of them was darkened, and the day shone not for a third part of it, and night likewise. And I beheld and heard an angel flying through the midst of heaven, saying with a loud voice, Woe, woe, woe to the inhabitants of the earth, for by reason of the other voices of the trumpets and of the three angels, which are yet to sound. So basically, the angel's like, whoa, this is all that happened to the earth, and yet it's 3 more left. My goodness. So it's a whole lot that's going to happen to this planet that we live on. The scripture also talks about, and let's go to chapter 16 real quick, and I'm going to just cover this part here. One of the things that it names, not only the ocean was going to turn bloody, but it mentioned here that fountains of waters and rivers also are going to become bloody, blood red. If you look at verse 4, chapter 16, verse 4, it says that, and the third angel poured out his vial upon the rivers and fountains of water, and they became blood. And I heard the angel of the waters of the waters say, Thou art righteous, O Master, which art, which was, and shall be, because thou hast judged this thus. For they have shed the blood of thy saints and prophets, and thou hast given them blood to drink, for they are worthy. Wow. So basically, there's a lot that's going to happen. Now let's look at verse 8 here. It says, And the fourth angel poured out his vial upon the sun, and power was given unto him to scorch men with fire, and men were scorched with great heat, and blasphemed the name of Yah, which have power over these plagues, and they repented not to give him glory. So now the sun is going to do its thing. Now think about this. Now we talking about getting solar heat, wind turbines, that much heat coming down, scorching men. You remember? So basically, I mean, remember when when that big solar flare happened a few years ago, and the power was out for with us when we were in Michigan? Power was out 8 days. Now we were blessed that we had a generator, but it knocked out the power grids in Canada, in Michigan, in parts of Ohio, and other states, even as far as, if I'm correct, even Pennsylvania and almost over to New York. So, I think if I'm correct, even in the Illinois area. So, man, if it knocked out power grids, what do you think that sun gonna do to solar energy and wind turbines and things like that? Man, so basically, we're in for a time, okay? Now, I'm not saying don't get a wind turbine. I'm not saying don't get solar panels. I'm saying that we need to plan for beyond things like that too, because it's going to get rough. Yeah, exactly. Batteries. So I'm getting buying batteries. So we covered some of the wrath that's going to come to pass. Now, we're always thinking about Yah's wrath, okay? But what about Satan's wrath? We done forgot about that. I'll tell you why that's important that we think about Satan's wrath. Because according to the scripture tells you that Yah hasn't appointed us to wrath. And I'm going to cover some of that. He has appointed us to wrath. But guess what is appointed for us? According to the scripture, there's prophecy in the scripture that Satan's wrath is going to come down on some of Yah's people. I'm going to basically show you the scripture and you be the judge. Okay? But if you read chapter 12 of Revelations, chapter 12 of Revelation, it tell you here, when Satan gets cast out of heaven, what does it say in verse 12? Elijah, I want you to read verse 12. Revelations chapter 12, verse 12.
Therefore rejoice, ye heavens, and ye that dwell in them. Woe to the inhabitants of the earth and of the sea. For the devil is come down unto you, having great wrath, because he knoweth that he had but a short time.
Hear that? So now it says, you all that's in heaven? It says, ye that dwell in heaven? It says what? It says, rejoice. But you all that are on earth? Oh boy, Satan is coming down with a great wrath. Okay, because he know he got what? A short time. Okay? Now, if we keep reading down to the end at verse 17, it says, and the dragon was wroth with the woman and went to make war with the remnant of her seed, which keep the commandments of Yah and have the testimony of Yahshua. So, my goodness, he going to make a war with the remnant of her seed? And guess what scripture that sounds like? If you go to Daniel chapter 7, Mama, I'm going to let you read that one. Daniel chapter 7.
He will speak out against the Most High and wear down the saints of the Highest One. And he will intend to make alterations in times and in law, and they will be given into his hand for a time, times and half a time.
Okay, now, what did it say here? And he shall speak great words. This is the one that most people refer to as the Antichrist or the Antichrist people, or whichever theory you may have. But this person is going to speak great words against the Most High and shall wear out the saints of the Most High. And he's going to think to change times and laws. And they, who? The Most High's people, shall be given into his hand until time and times and the dividing of times. You hear that? They're going to be given into his hands by the Most High. So, yeah, there's some things that's headed, and that's going to be Satan's wrath poured out on Yah's people. Okay? So, now, how do we prepare for all of this information that we've just received? And I know it was pretty like putting a weight on you, okay? But I'm gonna help you to understand what's going to happen and how you can prepare for these scriptures that we read and what we think is going to happen with the dollar crashing, with Babylon falling, with the Yah pouring out his wrath, and with Satan's wrath. How can you prepare for all these things? Okay, one thing, of course, storing up of goods has got to be a way to prepare. Okay, I would tell everyone that's out there that's listening to this message to store up goods. Goods like what? Food. Store up food like canned goods for one thing, dry goods. Store those things up, store them up in bulk. Because trust me, it's coming. There's nothing going to stop this. It's coming, and it's coming fast. All you got to do is look at the signs. Look at the signs. The signs tell you how fast it's coming. So it's better to be prepared and not have anything happen than to not be prepared and have all hell break loose. You understand? So let's be prepared. Okay? Store up food, store up water, bottled water. If you want to save up gold, I'm not going to say don't do it. Okay? But that gold right now can buy a lot of food and water and other things. It can buy land. You got a lot of gold, you can buy all of these things. I think that I'm looking at the fact that there's going to be a new gold more than anything. New gold is going to be livestock. New gold is going to be seeds and vegetables and things like that, produce. So I think we need to think about that. Guess what else is going to be going on? Bartering merchandise. So if you have a ton service, say what?
Or services.
Or services, basically, that's right. Bartering services. For instance, you may be a skilled builder or something, and somebody may have a roof leak. Say, hey, one of those stones fell out the sky and went through my roof, and I need somebody to help me repair it or something. I mean, I'm just being funny when I say that, but I want you to think about what we're saying. Services can be bartered. A person may not have the means to plow his land, but you may have a couple of mules, huh? Or you may have a workforce. You may have more people staying on your property. And you say, hey, I got 5 of us. We can come together and plan on your land, but this is what we want for what we're going to do for it. That person may have something about it. He may have seeds. This person may have stored up a whole bank vault of seeds. You see, all of these things are going to be worth bartering, and even merchandise. To believe that a bike will probably be worth more than a car during this time. Straight up, that's right. So a person may have several bikes that he may be able to trade for a cow or for something else, who knows. But basically bartering things like even weapons, for instance. People may have guns and ammunition stockpiled, and hey, I'll sell you several of these guns for a few of your livestock.
Wood.
Huh? Wood even, liquor. Yeah, wine and liquor are going to be valuable commodities during that time. Very valuable, because liquor can act as they used to use it back in the days to heal wounds. There's going to be a lot of people going crazy, a lot of stabbings, a lot of shootings. Of course, they're going to need something to heal them wounds. So yeah, exactly. Liquor is going to be very expensive.
People want to forget their troubles too.
That's right. Yeah, people going to want to forget their troubles. You see, because there's going to be a lot of trouble. It's going to be a time of what? Jacob's trouble. That's right. So another way the person can prepare is to move. Okay. Now, on that move thing, all I got to say to you is, where you going to move? Scripture tells you it's going to happen everywhere. I'll say this much, okay? We moved to where we are right now. When we wanted to move from where we are now, the Most High forbade us to move, wouldn't allow us to move. He shut our funds down and everything when we tried to move from here. Okay? So we stood back and we said, okay, if you want us to stay here, we will stay here until he gives us further notice. I want to instruct you all to do so, that you seek the Most High, and if he tells you to move, then you better move. If he don't tell you to move, and you've sought him, and he didn't give you that unction to move, and didn't give you the ability to move too, because to sit here and tell somebody to just move is, come on now, it's hard to just up and move. You got to have money to move. Can't nobody just, what you going to do, just get a stick and put your belongings on the end of the stick and just start walking? Who going to do that? So basically you got to have the ability to move. The Most High have to open the door up for you to move. A lot of people got trapped in Katrina. Why? Because they couldn't move. Okay? Now a person say, well, see, there you go, brother. There you go. So then you better find a way out of there. Well, that's true. That's true. If you can move and you feel like judgment is going to come in your area, then you should move. But that happened to those people in Katrina. Could have very well been a judgment coming on those people for various reasons. We all know that the people of New Orleans had some issues. Okay, issues with, Mardi Gras. Soon as that Mardi Gras come around, everybody out there doing their wickedness. Some wicked things going on in some of these areas. So it could have possibly been the Most High punishing those people for whatever reason. It could have been the government. Who knows? It could have been the wickedness of the government. He said, for a season, if God's people going to be delivered into the wicked hands of wicked people. Happened before, right? Slavery. You see? So there's no telling what Katrina was about, but basically, I want you to just understand that if the Most High tell you to move, then you better know where he wants you to move and go where he tells you to move. And if he don't tell you to move, then you stay. But you better know whether you should move or whether you should stay, because your life is going to depend on it. Okay? Like I say, seek the Most High. Another thing, how you can prepare yourself is mentally. Mentally is probably the best way to prepare yourself. I tell you why. Because the Most High expects us to have faith. Okay? He expects you to have faith. I reminded of the story of the shepherd of Hermas when he had a vision about this beast coming toward him, and the shepherd told the shepherd of Hermas that this beast that was coming toward him was what? A type of tribulation that's to come. So basically, this beast came, and when the beast came upon, before the beast even came, Shepherd Hermas, he saw the smoke rising up in the distance from the desert sand. So if you get a chance, just read the Shepherd of Hermas. This is one of the visions that he had, okay? And what happened was the messenger told him that this beast is coming is a type of tribulation that's to come. But what's amazing is before this tribulation even came, the message was given to him to be not doubtful minded. The messenger said, "Be not doubtful minded, Hermas." And Hermas was like, "What are you telling me to be not doubtful minded for?" He didn't know what the message was about. But when the beast came upon him and was about to devour him, he remembered the message of the angel that said, "Be not doubtful minded." So then he didn't get fearful, he didn't get afraid, and the beast passed right by him. The scripture calls that beast, or shall I say the shepherd of Hermas, calls the beast what? The tribulation that's going to come upon the earth. Because Hermas had faith, it passed right by him. Now, I got some scriptures to back up this, okay? So let's get prepared mentally more than anything so we don't just run right into the mouth of the beast from fear. Okay? So let's prepare. Now, there are ways that we can escape this what's coming. Ways to escape it. Now, one of the ways some of you believe could be the catching away, being caught up. Now, I know a lot of you don't believe in the pre-catching away of or most people call it the rapture. Some don't believe in it, some do believe in it. Well, for you that do believe in it, there are some scriptures that support that. And it talks about getting caught away. If you look at the 12th chapter of Revelations, it says that when the dragon tried to devour the woman, she was given what? 2 great wings of an eagle. And she was taken where? For these wings of an eagle, to a place in the wilderness that Yah had prepared for her. Huh? A place that he had prepared for her where she could be what? Nourished. So in other words, there was food there. Even though there wasn't food nowhere else, there was food there. So the Most High could possibly have a place that he's going to catch away the woman of Revelations, or the bride, as some put it, the bride that gets caught away. And I know there's arguments about the catching away was pre or what only happens at the end of the tribulation. Well, for those of you that believe that it happens before, if there is a before, all I got to say to people is this here. I'm one of those that believe this here, that if it's a before catching away, before the tribulation, then I want to be one of those people. And if it's not, I'm going to still be ready. I'm going to be ready whether it's a pre or a post tribulation catching away. I'm going to be ready either way it goes. I just believe in being ready. Okay? Another thing I want to bring out is this passage here. Now, this passage is deep. Okay? Very deep. And there's some insight in this passage. So I want you to read the scripture. Go to Isaiah chapter 26. Read verse 20 and 21, Elijah.
Come, my people, enter thou into the chamber, and shut thy doors about thee. Hide thyself, as it were a little moment, until the indignation be overpast. For behold, Yah cometh out of his place to punish the inhabitants of the earth for their iniquity. The earth shall disclose her blood, and shall no more cover her slain.
Okay, now. Okay, now. So basically, what are we seeing here? I mean, this is indeed the time that the Most High is going to pour out his what? Wrath on the earth. And what does he tell his people to do? He said, come, my people, enter thou into thy chambers. In other words, into your home. And do what? Shut thy doors. He's telling you, hey, just go in your house and close your doors. Now, that's what it says, right? That tells me that a lot of people that won't be able to make it out of certain areas or whatever, that the Most High could possibly have a plan for them. Now let's see if there's another precept of some scriptures that could back this up, because he clearly tells us to what? Go in, close thy doors, hide thyself, as it were, for a little moment, until the indignation be overpassed. So until it pass over. Sound familiar? For behold, Yah cometh out of his place to punish the inhabitants of the earth for their iniquity. So he pretty much tells you, go into your house, close your door, until what? Until what? Yah's wrath pass over. Yah's wrath pass over. Does that sound familiar? What does it sound like? Moses' story, that's right. So now let's look at things here. Okay? The children of Israel was where? In Egypt. Okay? Where are we now? We would be what? What did it say? The prophecy said would happen to us. Huh? We would be sold by the way of ships where? To Egypt. He's going to send you by the way of ships back to Egypt, right? Now, what? The house of bondage. That's right. So then now, what are we looking at here? Think about the plagues that happened in Egypt. Do you not know some of those plagues are almost identical to the plagues that's going to happen in the last days? Water turning red, hail falling, a fire falling down. Some of those plagues are almost identical. And what did the Most High do? How did he protect his people then when all this stuff was going on? The blood was over the door and the Most High. And what happened? Destruction did what? Pass over them. So this alone tells you, hey, I know we're telling everybody, hey, rush, get out of the city, go here, go there, do this, do that. All I'm saying is, look at these scriptures and seek the Most High as to what you should do. Don't just run here and run there because somebody else run here and run there. Okay? You better be led of the Spirit. Okay? Of the Ruach. You better be led of the Ruach. You better not just be going anywhere just because somebody else is going there. You better know what to do. Okay? Now, so we know the plagues of Egypt. Now, I have a scripture that backs that up. Okay? If we go to 2nd Esdras. Now, this is the Apocrypha, so I'm going to have to go there. This is 2nd Esdras, chapter 15. I found this to be very interesting. Now, let's look at this, what it says here. I'm going to read it to you here. It says, behold, speak thou in the ears of my people the words of prophecy, which I will put in thy mouth, saith Yah, and cause them to be written in paper, for they are faithful and true. Fear not the imaginations against thee. Let not the incredulity of them trouble thee that speak against thee. For all the unfaithful shall die in their unfaithfulness. Behold, saith Yah, I will bring plagues upon the world, the sword, famine, death, and destruction. For wickedness hath exceedingly polluted the whole earth, and their hurtful works are fulfilled. Therefore saith Yah, I will hold my tongue no more as touching their wickedness, which they have profanely committed. Neither will I suffer them in those days which they have wickedly exercised themselves. Behold, the innocent and righteous blood crieth unto me, and the souls of the just complain continually. Therefore, saith Yah, I will surely avenge them, and receive unto me all the innocent blood from among them. Behold, my people is led as a flock to the slaughter. I will not suffer them now to dwell in the land of Egypt. And I will bring them with a mighty hand and a stretched out arm, and smite Egypt with the plagues as before. Isn't that interesting? He said, just like I did before, back in the times with Egypt. He's talking about a future prophecy. Because at this time, Israel had already come out of Egypt. So he's saying, hey, I'm going to do it again in the future. Okay, let's keep going. And it says, as before, and I will destroy all the land thereof. Egypt shall mourn, and the foundation of it shall be smitten with the plague, and the punishment of Yah shall bring upon it. They that till the ground shall mourn, for their seed shall fail through the blasting of hail, and with the fearful consolation. Woe to the world and them that dwell therein, for the sword and their destruction draweth nigh. And one people shall stand up and fight against another, and swords in their hands. And there shall be sedition among men, and invading one another. And they shall not regard their kings nor princes, and the course of their actions shall stand in their power. And man shall desire to go into the city, and shall not be able. For because their pride the city shall be troubled, and the houses shall be destroyed, and men shall be afraid. And man shall have no pity upon his neighbor, and shall destroy their houses with the sword, and shall spoil their goods, because of the lack of bread, for the great tribulation. You hear that? It's talking about the future. It referred to the future. See? Behold, saith Yah, I will call together all the kings of the earth to reverence me, which are from the rising of the sun, from the south and from the east. The Lebanoners to turn themselves one against another, to repay things that they have done to them. Like as they do yet this day unto my chosen, so will I do also, and recompense in their bosom. Thus saith Yah, my right hand shall not spare the sinners, and my sword shall not cease over them that shed innocent blood upon the earth. The fire is gone forth from his wrath. Oh, I proved it to you again. He's talking about his wrath in the last days, and have consumed the foundations of the earth, and the sinners like the straw that is kindled. Woe to them that sin and keep not my commandments, saith Yah. I will spare not them. Go your way, ye children, from the power. Defile not my sanctuary. For Yah knoweth all them that sin against him. Therefore delivereth he them unto death and destruction. For now are the plagues come upon the whole earth, and shall remain in them. For Yah shall not deliver you, because you have sinned against him. Now, I got to ask you this question. Was he referring to Yah's wrath in the last days as if it was Egypt, the plagues of Egypt coming on Egypt all over again? Didn't he say that? It's right there. I mean, it's just as plain as day. So, like I said, that's another one I want you to read. And another thing I want you to think of too. And I'm going to close with these last two here. Genesis chapter 18. And we're going to look at verse 23 through 32. Now, I'm not going to read it all, but I want you to remember this passage and what it's talking about. This is the part where the Most High came to Abraham and told him what he was going to do to Sodom and Gomorrah. Okay? And Abraham replied, and he said, what to Yah? Okay? He said, verse 23, Abraham drew near and said, wilt thou also destroy the righteous with the wicked? And peradventure there be 50 righteous within the city? Wilt thou also destroy and not spare the place for the 50 righteous that are therein? Okay? There be far from thee to do after this manner, to slay the righteous with the wicked, that the righteous should be as the wicked, that be far from thee. Shall not the judge of all the earth do right? What does Yah say to him? He says, if I find 50 righteous within the city, then I will spare all the place for their sake. Think about that. Now, what happened? Abraham kept petitioning him about the same thing. What if there's 20? What if there's 10? And the Most High kept going down. He said, yeah, even if it's 10, I will not destroy the city. So what did that tell you about the Most High? If he have widows and old people that can't up and get out of a place that are righteous, you think he gonna just destroy them? If you think he gonna destroy them, then you got another thing coming. Because the Most High love his people, especially those that are righteous and living upright before him. You understand? Now, another thing I want to bring out is this last verse here. This is Jeremiah chapter 30, verse 7. Turn to Jeremiah chapter 30, verse 7. This is the last part of it. And I'm going to read that one before I close. Verse 7. It says, alas, for that day is great, so that none is like it. What day is he talking about, y'all? Yah's wrath. That's right. What does he call it here? It says, so that none, what does it say? So that there is none like it. It is even the time of Jacob's trouble, but he shall be saved out of it. Huh? That goes back to the scripture then that's in the New Testament, where I think it was Shaul that was talking, and he says, the Most High have not delivered us unto wrath. Huh? Y'all don't have the day of wrath for his people. The day of wrath is for who? The wicked. That's right. So all I'm saying to you all out there that's listening to this video is just take into consideration the scriptures that I talked about here and seek the Most High as to what you should do and where you should go if he tells you to go anywhere at all. But don't be afraid. More than anything, don't be fearful. Okay, be like Hermas. Be not doubtful minded. The Most High is going to be there for you if you trust in him. If you trust in him and you led by his spirit, you have his spirit, and you keeping his word, he's going to protect you. You can best believe that. Okay? So on that note, I'm going to say shalom.